Unidentified creatures have always captivated human imagination. Some believe they are real, while others think they are all hoaxes. But what's unique about these creatures beyond the fact that they exist or not is that they inflict fear in us. We want to believe that these creatures are real. So today's topic is about terrifying creatures which are rumored to exist. Number 1. Beast of Bodmin Moor. It is a black panther-like creature that is believed to inhabit Bodmin Moor in Cornwall. After numerous sightings and countless stories of livestock being slain, the so-called Beast of Bodmin Moor became one of Britain's most feared animals. Photographs and even films had been taken of these beasts. However, there has been little physical evidence to support the sightings. That was until recently when a 14-year-old boy discovered a skull with large fangs in the River Foe on Bodmin Moor in Cornwall. And after spending an equivalent of 84,000 British pounds on examining photos and videos, the legend of the beast was eventually revealed to be a black cat about 12 inches tall. Locals in mid-Cornwall believe that the animal could be just one of the number of big cats roaming the area. Perhaps the best supporting evidence yet for the beast's existence came in the form of recently released 20-second video footage, which may show a species of wildcat previously thought to be extinct. The mysterious animal that terrified families in Cornwall for 30 years has been identified, but it's a far cry from the decades of frightening rumors. But also, a 6-month government investigation in 1995 found there was no verifiable evidence of exotic cats loose in the UK. Well, some believe the animal could be a species of wildcat which was supposed to have become extinct in Britain more than a century ago. So, what do you think? Number 2. Yeti. Some know the Yeti as Bigfoot. No matter the name, the purported anomalous primate has long been the subject of a cycle of stories and skepticism. Mountaineers, hunters and others wandering the less explored areas of the planet have claimed to see the hairy humanoid creature. Footprints have been photographed and hairs and other traces have been collected. Brian Sykes, professor of genetics at Oxford, and his co-authors have put the university's prestigious imprimatur on a study published on July 2 in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B. For the study, Sykes appealed to cryptozoologists from all over the world to send him hair samples that might belong to a Yeti. Ultimately, 30 samples, more than half of which came from the United States, yielded enough information for genetic analysis. It was found that 8 of the samples were from brown or black bears. However, 2 of the samples, one from Ladakh, which is in India, and one from Bhutan, yielded a more interesting result. They matched the DNA collected from a 40,000-year-old fossil of a polar bear that is unlike the DNA of modern polar bears. Sykes suspect that the hairs come from either an unrecognized bear species or an unknown hybrid of polar bear and brown bear. The Ladakh sample was preserved by a hunter who reported that it came from a bear he had never seen and who behaved unlike any familiar bear species. A footprint of Yeti discovered near Mount Everest in 1951. To Sykes' surprise, testing found a 100% match with a polar bear jawbone from Svalbard, the northernmost part of Norway, that dates back between 40,000 and 120,000 years. In the end, the study offers no proof of the existence of a Yeti. It simply established that we still have no hard evidence for the Yeti. But this did not stop Bigfootologists and scientists to give up their search on Yeti. A video was released on YouTube in which the shown creature is considered to be a Bigfoot. Shaky footage showed what looked like a strange ape-like creature with white fur clambering through the snow. However, it has turned out to be nothing more than a sleek marketing campaign by the company that manages the ski resort where the sighting took place. For centuries, tales of the Yeti, an elusive but terrifying creature said to roam the inhospitable Himalayan mountains and other isolated places, have enthralled curious minds. This leads to the question, are they real or their existence is just some rumor passed from a long time back? Number 3. Chupacabra. The chupacabra is reported to be the size of a small bear with a row of sharp spines running down the length of its back. It is said that it hops like a kangaroo and has a lizard-like hide and bright glowing eyes. The first reported sighting occurred in Puerto Rico in 1995 when more than 150 farm animals and pets were discovered dead, completely drained of blood. Well, it's a relative newcomer to the mythical monster world, but since stories first surfaced in Puerto Rico in 1995 of a bloodthirsty goat-sucking vampire, it has been the go-to explanation for all sorts of weird livestock deaths. Reports soon began surfacing from other South American countries, all similar in nature. And while sightings became even more prevalent in America, it was eventually revealed in a series of DNA tests that Chupacabra was nothing more sinister than a coyote with a severe case of mange. Seriously? Lizard-like skin, sharp spines and glowing eyes. That's a pretty bad mange. Number 4. Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie. There have been hundreds of sightings of this mythical creature over the years, dating right back to the 7th century. In fact, there are no reports of the beast until less than a century ago. The Loch Ness Monster first achieved notoriety in 1933 after a story was published in the Inverness Courier, a local newspaper describing not a monstrous head or hump, but instead a splashing in the water that was described as appearing to be caused by two ducks fighting. Some suggested a more monstrous explanation. However, it wasn't until the following year that Nessie sought to superstardom with the publication of a famous photograph showing a serpentine head and neck. That image, taken by a London surgeon named Kenneth Wilson, was touted for the decades as the best evidence for Nessie until it was admitted as a hoax decades later. But despite the prevalence of this myth, many scientists believe it is much more likely that the legendary creature is more likely to be a giant sturgeon than a long-lost dinosaur. When a mysterious skeleton washed up on a beach in Russia, it had locals convinced that it is a proof that terrifying sea monsters live in our oceans. Initial tests suggested that the skeleton wasn't a fish, alligator or crocodile, leaving many people baffled as to the origin of the decaying carcass. But after being taken away for more in-depth analysis, marine specialists revealed that it was in fact the skeleton of a large beluga whale. Well, who knows what types of terrifying creatures are hidden in the darkest parts of the ocean. Yet no strong evidence was found to prove that any such creature exists in Loch Ness. But this doesn't stop tourists to come from all over the world hoping for a glimpse of the famous monster. Number 5. Jersey Devil. In New Jersey folklore, the Jersey Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey, United States. The creature is often described as a flying biped with hoops, but there are many different variations. Its origins date back to when New Jersey was still a British colony. It was said that the beast carried off large dogs, geese, cats, small livestock and even occasionally children. The children were never seen again, but the animal remains were often found. The devil was also said to dry up the milk of cows by breathing on them and to kill off the fish in the streams, threatening the livelihood of the entire region. The most recent sighting of the creature was said to have been in 1993 when a forest ranger named John Irwin was driving along the Mullica River in southern New Jersey. He was startled to find the road ahead of him blocked by the Jersey Devil. He described it as being about 6 feet tall with horns and matted black fur. Could this have been the reported Jersey Devil or some other creature altogether? Irwin stated that he and the creature stared at one another for several minutes before the monster finally turned and ran into the forest. Eyewitness accounts of the devil filled the newspapers, as well as photos and reports of cloven footprints that had been found in yards, woods and parking lots. The Philadelphia Zoo offered a $10,000 reward for the capture of the devil, but there were no takers. Gordon Stein, in Encyclopedia of Hoaxes, released in 1993, noted that the alleged footprints of the Jersey Devil in 1909 resembled a horse's hoof. According to Stein, a man later admitted he had faked some of these footprints. Norman Jeffries, publicist for the Philadelphia's Ark Street Museum and renowned hoaxer, also planted non-fictional newspaper stories about new sightings of the devil. In 1909, Jeffries with his friend Jacob Hope, an animal trainer, purchased a kangaroo from a circus and attached claws and fake bat wings onto it with glue. They declared to the public they had captured the devil and it was put on display at the museum. 20 years later, Jeffries admitted to the hoax. The lack of proof of the monster's existence in these modern times leads many to believe that the devil was nothing more than a creation of a New Jersey folklore. But was it really? Well, if it was merely a myth, then how do we explain the sightings of the creature and the witness accounts from reliable persons like businessmen, police officers and even public officials? They are not easy to dismiss as hearsay or the result of heavy drinking. Could the Jersey Devil have been real after all? And if so, it's still out there in the remote region of the Pine Barrens, just waiting to be found. What do you think? So, that's all for this video. If you like this video, then please like, subscribe and share. And if you want to give any suggestion or if you want us to make a video on any idea that you have, then you may mention it in the comment section below. You may also email us. Also, please like our Facebook page. You may also check out the earlier posted videos on cellular jail, interesting fun facts, interesting proposals and interesting facts about the chocolate. All the links are given in the description below. We'll be uploading our next video pretty shortly, so stay connected to us by subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.